Domestically, everything is in ruins. Internationally, we have become a laughing stock. So what is left for Britain?
Why doesn't the UK government recognise that consequences and concrete actions can start with the stopping of arms sales to Israel?
Minister.
We are urging, we're pleading, we're doing everything that we can.
Hello, so few days ago when I said that Israel was using the UK government, the current UK government under Rishi Sunak like a doormat, some of you said I was being very polite. Actually, Israel was using UK like a toilet paper. And some of you were even more crude, which I can't use those words here. But none of us were wrong. None of us were wrong. And I'm so proud of my assessment. Guess what? Now, the British government's minister admits that Israel has indeed been treating the country like a doormat. Or at least his statements suggest that. Which is frightening admission by a junior minister inside the parliament. And the junior minister I'm talking about is the junior minister whose video is now going viral. His exchange with George Galloway. You can see it up here. His name is David Rutley. He is a parliamentary undersecretary. He was deputizing for Andrew Mitchell, who is the deputy of David Cameron. And David Cameron doesn't sit in the House of Commons. I mean, how unfortunate is this for this country? That at the time when the world is facing near Third World War, you don't even have a foreign secretary to answer questions inside the House of Commons, which is the the place for the elected representatives. So you don't even have a foreign secretary to represent the constituent, represent the British people inside the parliament. He sits in House of Lords. So instead, when he is not there, he is being represented by a junior minister called Andrew Mitchell, who is an MP from Sutton Coldfield in Birmingham. Now, even Andrew Mitchell is not available, so he is being represented by an undersecretary. And the poor guy had to face the barrage of questions last week. While answering one of the questions, he made this candid and spectacular confession, which highlighted the sheer helplessness of this government under Rishi Sunak, who is, by the way, an elected Prime Minister. I mean, it's not just one misfortune we are talking about. It's a series of misfortunes plaguing this country, which was once a great country, which had its say in international politics. Now, a tiny country like Israel, which depends on the charity provided by the countries like the UK or the USA and other countries, now that country has the audacity to treat Britain like a doormat. And I'm not saying that now, it's official. So what happened last week? There's a Labour MP from London, Afsana Begum. She was trying to draw a junior minister's attention to the human tragedy in Gaza as a result of the famine and starvation. And what she said essentially was that it's a blot on all of us. That now, even before he could answer the question, the minister made this candid confession that we are pleading, his words. We are pleading, literally begging to Israel, and they are not listening to us. Have a listen.
Humanitarian agencies have concluded that we have passed the point of being able to avert famine in Gaza. Whatever we do now, it will be too late for those people who will have starved to death by the time the aid arrives. That is a stain on the international community. Can the Minister update the House on what specific steps this government has taken to bring about the full implementation of Resolution 2728 passed by the UN Security Council over 3 weeks ago? Pleading, pressuring, pressing the Israeli government clearly is not a strategy that is working. So why doesn't the UK government recognise that consequences and concrete actions can start with the stopping of arms sales to Israel?
Minister.
We are urging, we're pleading, we're doing everything that we can. We're doing everything that we can to make our case. And we're also tripling the amount of aid that we have to 100 million. And, as I said as well, we're taking action to have this life-saving aid corridor by sea to Gaza. These are important actions that we're taking forward.
Now, how shameful is that? I mean, I have lived in this country for 24 years. I've never seen this country so weak on every front. Domestically, we know everything is in ruins. The NHS is dead, economy is dead, the government is inept, has zero control over the matters affecting common public, and the opposition, who ought to have come up with an alternative policies, is actually an extended part of the Conservative, which is a frightening situation given that I have children and I'm worried about their future. If these morons, if these jokers are what we have got as the best amongst whatever we have, then you must worry about the country's future. Now, coming back to the minister's confession. Now, this minister's confession proves why, despite all these shenanigans, despite this terrorist called Netanyahu, bloodthirsty terrorist called Netanyahu, defying international order, defying the ruling of International Court of Justice, defying the resolution passed by the United Nations Security Council, by the way, which even had the approval of UK and the USA on ceasefire. The guy has completely defied, and yet the unelected foreign secretary was in Israel only a few days ago, shamelessly shaking hands with him, with a person who should be tried as a war criminal at The Hague, and then issuing this statement.
This week I'm in Israel, the occupied Palestinian territories, and Italy. The situation on the ground is incredibly tense. Along with my G7 partners, I condemned Iran's dangerous attack on Israel. We must remain focused on de-escalation. Only by achieving an immediate pause in Gaza, getting aid in and getting hostages out, can we make progress towards that sustainable ceasefire we so badly need. I will continue to work with partners to build a more secure and more stable Middle East.
And immediately after this meeting, we know what Netanyahu said: the thanks, but no thanks. We appreciate your support, but we will do things according to our own whims and fancies.
אני בא עכשיו מפגישות עם שרי החוץ של בריטניה וגרמניה. אמש שוחחתי עם ראש ממשלת בריטניה רישי סונאק. בקרוב אני גם משוחח עם מנהיגים נוספים. אני מודה לידידינו על תמיכתם בהגנת ישראל, ואני אומר את זה גם תמיכה במילים וגם תמיכה במעשים. יש להם גם כל מיני הצעות ועצות, אני מעריך את זה, אבל אני רוצה להבהיר שאת ההחלטות שלנו אנחנו נקבל בעצמנו. ומדינת ישראל תעשה כל מה שצריך כדי להגן על עצמה.
So how are you going to be perceived as a country? I mean, I keep on saying, this is the election year. You must bear these developments in mind. Domestically, everything is in ruins. Internationally, we have become a laughing stock. So what is left for Britain? And I'm not even talking about the gruesome murder of 33,000 people officially counted, and more than 100,000 perhaps, when the real picture emerges. That includes 17,000 children. I think this year should be the moment of reflection for everybody who is going to vote, either in the local body elections or in the national elections, whenever this guy announces it, Rishi Sunak. If you don't want this country to plunge into more and more darkness. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so, because that's one of the many ways you can support independent journalism. God bless you all.